unconscious victims.
Where am I?
Control any external bleeding and continue to monitor the victim.
Sue, can you help me elevate his leg, please? Sure.
Elevate the legs about 12 inches, only if head, neck, back, or leg injuries are not suspected.
Okay, great. Sue, could you do me a favor and go get a blanket, all right?
Sure.
Loosen restrictive clothing.
Okay, just go ahead and help me spread it out.
Keep the victim from getting chilled or overheated.
All right. And do me a favor and go and wait for the ambulance, all right?
Okay.
Tomas, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Do not give the victim food or drink and reassure him until advanced medical personnel arrive.
Palace, buddy, what day is it?
Tuesday.
That's good. Just relax. Everything's gonna be all right. Help is on its way.
Carl, are you okay?
When a victim is unconscious, call 911 or the workplace emergency number.
What do we do?
Call 911. We need an ambulance.
Use the phone on the desk.
Okay, be sure to tell them he's unconscious and it happened without warning. They're going to need to know our address and location.
Right.
Check the victim for other life-threatening conditions. Check for breathing. Position yourself so that your ear is close to the victim's mouth and nose. Check for breathing for about 5 seconds.
I can't tell if he's breathing.
If the victim is not breathing, or you cannot tell, roll him onto his back. Use one hand to support the head and neck. The other hand supports the hip, while gently rolling the victim toward you. Be sure to keep the head and back in a straight line. Tilt the head back and lift the chin. This opens the victim's airway. When an unconscious victim is on his back, the tongue may relax and fall back, blocking the airway. Tilting the head back and lifting the chin moves the tongue away from the back of the throat and opens the airway. Put your ear close to the victim's mouth and nose. Look to see if the chest rises and falls while you listen and feel for breathing for about 5 seconds.
I need the breathing barrier.
If the victim is still not breathing, look in the mouth for any obstructions. If you do not see anything, place a breathing barrier over the victim's mouth. Open the airway and pinch the nose shut. Give 2 slow breaths. Watch the victim's chest gently rise and fall each time you give a breath. If a breathing barrier is not available, you may choose to give breaths without one. Next, check for a pulse. To check for a pulse, use 2 fingers to find the Adam's apple. Slide your fingers toward you and down into the groove at the side of the neck. Check the pulse for about 10 seconds.
He's got a pulse.
Some EMS dispatchers may be able to tell you how best to care for the victim. Don't hang up until the dispatcher hangs up first.
They're on their way. I'm going to go outside and wait for help.
If the victim vomits, remove any breathing barriers and roll the victim onto his side. Use your index finger to sweep out the mouth. The care you will provide depends on the conditions you find.
If a person appears to be choking and is coughing forcefully, encourage him to keep coughing.
Keep coughing. Keep coughing. Someone call 911. He's choking. Can I help you? I know what to do.
If a victim can no longer speak, cough, or breathe, give abdominal thrusts to clear the airway. Stand behind the victim and position your hands. Find the belly button. Make a fist with your other hand and place the thumb side of your fist against the middle of the victim's abdomen, just above the belly button. Grab your fist with your other hand and give quick upward thrusts. Each thrust should be a separate attempt to force the object out. Continue thrusts until the object is coughed up, the victim starts to breathe or cough forcefully on his own, or until the victim becomes unconscious. To review, if a conscious victim is choking, give abdominal thrusts. Have someone call 911 or the workplace emergency number. Stand behind the person. Place the thumb side of your fist just above the belly button. Grab your fist with your other hand. Give quick upward thrusts into the abdomen. Continue thrusts until the object is forced out, until the victim can breathe or cough forcefully on his own, or until the victim becomes unconscious. If you check an unconscious victim and your 2 slow breaths do not go in, you might not have tilted the head back far enough. Reposition the airway by tilting the head farther back. Pinch the nose shut and give 2 slow breaths again. If your breath still won't go in, assume the airway is blocked. Remove any breathing barriers. Straddle one or both of the victim's legs and position your hands to give abdominal thrusts. Place the heel of one hand against the middle of the victim's abdomen, just above the belly button. Place your other hand on top with your fingers pointing towards the victim's head. Give up to 5 abdominal thrusts. Press into the abdomen with quick upward thrusts. This forces air out of the lungs and helps push the object out.
4, 5.
Then sweep out the mouth by first grabbing both the tongue and lower jaw between your thumb and fingers and lift the jaw. To do a finger sweep, slide your index finger along the inside of the cheek using a hooking motion to sweep the object out. Then replace the breathing barrier. Tilt the head back, pinch the nose shut, and give 2 slow breaths. Watch for the chest to rise and fall. If breaths do not go in, reposition the airway by tilting the head farther back, pinch the nose shut, and try 2 slow breaths again. If the breaths still do not go in, repeat 5 abdominal thrusts.
1, 2, 3.
Each thrust should be a separate attempt to force the object out. Continue thrusts. Sweep in breaths until you can breathe into the victim begins to breathe on her own, or another trained responder arrives and takes over. To review, if you check an unconscious victim and find that your 2 slow breaths don't go in, reposition the airway. Tilt the head farther back, pinch the nose shut, and repeat 2 slow breaths. If your breaths still do not go in, assume the airway is blocked. Remove any breathing barriers. Give up to 5 abdominal thrusts.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Lift the jaw and tongue and sweep out the mouth. Replace the breathing barrier and reattempt 2 slow breaths. If the breaths still do not go in, reposition the airway once again. Tilt the head farther back and try 2 more slow breaths. Continue abdominal thrusts, finger sweeps, and breaths until your breaths go in, the victim begins to breathe on his or her own, or another trained responder arrives and takes over.
2, 3, 4, 5.
When you check an unconscious victim and find that your 2 slow breaths go in, next, check the pulse for about 10 seconds. If the victim has a pulse but is still not breathing, begin rescue breathing. Open the airway by tilting the head back and lifting the chin. Pinch the nose shut and breathe into the victim.
1 1000, 2 1000.
Give one slow breath about every 5 seconds. Each breath should last about 1.5 seconds. Watch the chest rise and fall with each breath. Avoid breathing in too hard or too long so that the air goes into the lungs, not into the stomach. If the victim vomits, roll the victim on his side and sweep out the mouth. After 1 minute of rescue breathing, about 12 breaths, recheck pulse, then breathing. Feel for the pulse for about 5 seconds, then remove the breathing barrier and check breathing for about 5 seconds. If the victim has a pulse but is still not breathing, replace the breathing barrier and continue rescue breathing. One slow breath about every 5 seconds. Continue rescue breathing until the scene becomes unsafe. The victim begins to breathe on his or her own until you are too exhausted to continue, or until another trained responder arrives and takes over. Recheck pulse, then breathing once every minute. Care for the conditions you find. To review, when you check an unconscious victim and find that your 2 slow breaths go in, check the pulse for about 10 seconds. If the victim has a pulse but is still not breathing, begin rescue breathing. Open the airway by tilting the head back and lifting the chin. Pinch the nose shut and breathe into the victim. Watch the chest rise and fall with each breath. Give 1 breath about every 5 seconds. After 1 minute, or about 12 breaths, recheck pulse, then breathing. Continue rescue breathing until the scene becomes unsafe. The victim begins breathing on his or her own. You are too exhausted to continue, or another trained responder arrives and takes over. Recheck pulse, then breathing about every minute. Care for the conditions you find.
3 1000, 4 1000, 5